Hello, beautiful people. I won't use my blooper reel. I'm Barb, Tammy's sister, and she calls me the advanced cross stitcher. So today we are going to be looking at her kit and getting organized with some tips and whatnot. And then we'll also show you my plans for what I intend to do on a more advanced level. Yeah, so she's kind of being modest right now. She's the one who's been stitching up these kits for us so that you can see real life samples in store. And thank God she does, because I don't know how to do this yet. You'll get there. So this is the Snuggle is Real by Hannah Dale. And it's a cute Rendale design that we sell here in store. So we brought out some of the kits and made them more visible in this classroom. We'll probably go through those at some point. But so far in store, we have the Snuggle is Real stitched up, and you can find this on our website, the sewingcafe.ca. Whoa, wrong website. Sewingcafe.ca. The right information might help you. So that's one kit. Are you showing the other kit? I see you have it there. Yeah, I can. So I've stitched many Bothy kits along the way. And when Tammy purchased her quilting shop, I asked her to get some of the cross stitch. So this is the Milk Maid, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that one here that she just showed was stitched on the Aida cloth, but it also comes in an even weave version. So when you're shopping in store or online, check a toggle, because if there's a toggle, you can switch between even weave and Aida cloth. So should we talk about what the difference is between those? Because for the stitch along, I'm stitching on the Aida cloth that comes in the kit, and you're changing it up and making it harder by stitching on an even weave fabric, correct? I'm actually stitching on linen. So Tammy is the quilter and struggles with some of the terminology for cross stitch. And I have, I can't even use a sewing machine. And I know her plan is to teach me the sewing machine, and we'll get there. Maybe you'll see me in a class learning how to sew, and there will definitely be a blooper reel there. So, but no, I'm stitching on a linen. So an Aida is what these two are stitched on, and all of the kits do come in. If I can find the camera, you might be able to see. They're a very, you can see the holes on them, very much for a beginner. The even weave, which we're not going to open the kit, but it's a very even weave. So there's, or is it? Can you get it there? I don't know that there's the glare of it. But the even weave is very much an even weave, right? So there's a specific amount of threads per inch going exactly the same. So there might be 20 threads per inch going one direction and 20 threads going the other direction. So very nice to work on. I tend to stitch even weave 1/1. Lots of people will do 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. So 1/1 means 1 floss thread over 1 fabric thread? Over 1 linen thread. So maybe what I'll do is I'll pull out, and I can kind of explain that a tiny bit. So I do have, it's called my tapestry. So you'll learn quickly that I can talk a day to a dead man. So I'm sure. If you think I'm a talker, I'm the quiet one. So Tammy will likely edit out quite a bit of what I have to say along the way. But so my tapestry is essentially, it's my journaling through stitching. So, oi, oi, oi. Well, it's a big one. Too far away. I'm going to come in closer, but that's essentially what it looks like. So I intend to continually stitch on it, and you can see the different years. Right, I do have some. It's a work in progress, so it's got lots of things going on. But when not all things are done. Not all things are done. That's okay. Like as a quilter, how many work in progress projects do I have going on? I'm not even going to name them, y'all. And I have about 90. We'll call it 90. You're under 100. That's good.
No shame here.
No shame, but that's the number I tell people. It's quite possibly not the real one. But anyway, so when I'm talking about 1/1, let me find 2020. Oh, there we go. So 2023, one of my girlfriends.
You're gonna get that in your coffee.
Yeah, that would be disappointing, wouldn't it? So one of my girlfriends who's also a floss tuber, her and I decided to stitch. Do you see those little hearts over or underneath 2023?
These little guys down here?
Oui, oui.
Oh, those are hearts.
They are, and you can see it's not done because this is a 46 count. So I'm doing one silk floss over one thread. And then when I talk about I've stitched many bothy kits, so that little wee pup there, that's Bothy's did kits that they donated the money to the Princess Fund, I think it was. And I stitched that and I wanted it on my tapestry because right, it was something important that went on in that year. So anyway, there's that one.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So did you show the fabric you're actually stitching on? I've
don't-
lost track.
I doubt it.
We just tend to chat a lot.
So when Tammy showed the kit in a previous video, she showed you exactly what came in the kit. So can I borrow your
Yeah.
your
What do you
Aida?
want? You want my Aida? Let me just separate my threads here because I folded them back
Perfect.
in because I didn't know how tangled they would get.
Sure. So Tammy is stitching on, and anybody who's ordered the kit is either did they get even weave or just the Aida?
Just Aida. This kit, I don't believe, comes in an even weave. And we were selling it as something you could do at a beginner level.
Perfect. So the Aida cloth is like a beige, again, 14 count. So a basic.
I think they're calling it parchment.
Oh, are they calling it parchment?
Let me see.
So my plan is to stitch on my preferred count. So I like a higher count.
So a higher count means that there's more threads in a single inch. So if you measure, you can actually count the threads in an inch. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yes, I'm getting it, guys.
So I'm stitching mine on this blue, picture this Picture this plus fabric on a 40 count. I've chosen blue because Tammy and I the Scandi was very important to us. That's Scandinavian, and we are both of Danish descent. And I thought I'm going to stitch mine to match the Danish plates that we grew up with.
So that's when I picked up the last time I was in Denmark, which doesn't happen very often. So when I go, I really go like for a month or more. So this is the one from the year that I was born. And you'll see there's like a bunch of different variations of blue that shine. I don't know how much you can see, but it's like a traditional Christmas scene. I think this is, you look like hints. The Hunt for the Christmas Tree, I think, is the translation. So there's often like a star and then some sort of Christmassy scene. And then I even have, it's really only old ladies that collect these, I swear, but I kind of love them. So whatever, this is me.
So wait,
this is the 200-year Jubilee. What?
You're younger, so what are you saying about me right now?
Oh, you're just senior, man. And you see I'm taller?
Not really.
Yeah, nice try. Flat out back. So you can see there's a lot of variations of blue and like a light blue background that's not like necessarily a solid blue. Yeah, this is a little more hand-dyed modeled, but yeah, it's got the vibe.
I brought some of my collection with me because we weren't really sure where we were going. I thought maybe I was going to go the Danish plate direction, and that's where we landed. And then I brought.
So she was scared to bring her stash because it's so big, and I'm like, "Oh, honey, have you seen a quilter stash? This is nothing."
And she lives in a quilter store, so. So anyway, I'm going to be stitching, I know, with some of my, what we would call in the cross stitch world, our fancy floss. So I have silks that are a hot mess here. I have Color and Cotton, Mrs. Aida silks, which is the whole collection, which was a birthday gift one year. It actually made me cry, which is
Not
to
easy
anybody
to
that
do.
no, but to anybody that knows, right? It's like somebody finally gets who I am and appreciates, right, my hobbies. So I'm gonna go through, not with you folks, because it'll be an absolute
It'll take a while.
yeah, it'll be a disaster. But you know, this is what we do, right? We've got all the things.
So we're not showing the pattern itself. We're going to respect the copyright, right? So I've actually got it folded in here, so I can't inadvertently do it. But on your thread card, you can see these are the colors that we have to be using. So she's just going to do a straight exchange, right? So you're using the pattern from your kit, and I guess you'll just switch out your threads on the thread card.
It'll be, yeah. Honestly, I've been stitching for 30 plus years, so I will pick a thread and go, oh, okay, this looks good, and that's how I'm going to do it.
So this is what the process can look like when you're trying to choose your own threads to switch out. So we can see the number of threads. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. One blending filament that gets used with one of the colors. So that's what we're trying to do here, is select which of these blues that she has are the right ones. And I think this cream replaces the white.
Agreed, yeah.
Okay, so we've got one down. Oh. What's next?
The blending filament. So this one we're going to stick with.
Okay. Is this too white with the cream?
No, because the blending filament will go with the white to make it sparkly.
Okay.
Or it could go with any of these other colors that we choose. Depends on what I want to do. You guys will have, you know, like red horse, rocking horses, and different things. So I'm going to stick with the leaves being a dark blue and using, I don't know, I might make the light green leaves, this shimmery. I haven't decided yet.
Okay, so you're going to consider that as you're on your way home, I guess.
Or, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it might be hard to see, but she's doing that for her white, and she'll mix this blending filament in. She's doing this gray instead of the gray that's buried back here. This dark blue for her brown. This for her light leaves. This for her dark leaves. And this blue sparkly is going to be her red. So that's a 1-for-1 substitution. And then she'll use a card just like this, get her threads sorted, and she's ready to go.
Oh,
Okay, so for me, you told me that this really cool sparkly one, you don't stitch on its own.
you typically don't. It's called Krynic. So it's a blending filament is what it is. So it's a little more difficult to work with. So that thread, and I'm going to be using Krynic too, and I think we're going to follow up. I'm going to stitch or do a little video to show you folks how to cut that thread shorter, give it a little bit of tension so that it's easier to work with. As a beginner, it's a little bit difficult sometimes, but you know, it's absolutely not overwhelming to the point where you can't ever do the work. So
I just ran off because I have questions.
yes.
And I was thinking about one of the questions, obviously not in advance. So as you stitch, I'm not going to show this whole pattern, but you obviously highlight as you complete a stitch.
So this is a more advanced. So in the stitching world, we would call that confetti stitching. So that means you don't have a lot of the same color stitched continuously. So then it gets a bit difficult to try and find your way. So I gridded, and I think Tammy has a video somewhere to show.
Oh, with the kitten. I think we did a reel
Yeah, with the kitten
where we
or
were removing the
grid marks.
which was drawn on by a pen like this one. This is the fine point mark be gone.
So on Tammy's fabric today, we're going to grid out her fabric, showing her where to stitch. This pattern that we've chosen, the ScandiTree design, has a lot of block stitching. There's not very much confetti. So, it's a really, really easy for a beginner.
So by block stitching, you mean like where we're doing this horse? It's
That's
the
right.
entire
That's right. There's not a lot of
section
color.
is all together.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not going to grid my fabric. Mine is a hand dyed, so I don't want to rinse it when it's done.
Oh, so you don't pre-wash it to make sure that all of the dye that's going to come out has come out?
No, it stays as is. And I think I forgot to tell you the color of my fabric. So it's a Newcastle 40 count. Ariel is the color by Picture This Plus.
Oh, interesting. You
Mhm.
know, there are products you can get to work with hand dyes to really set that color in.
Right.
We should talk about that because I've got a washing machine just for dyeing fabric.
Oh, interesting. I've got lots of fiber I want dyed. So
And this time she didn't call me extra because now it relates to her hobby too.
So we're going to grid Tammy's fabric today. We're also going to braid the thread.
Oh yeah, because you sent me this back with the cow kit.
Yeah.
So I guess you cut. Oh, I don't really need that top part, right?
You don't.
So I
no.
could just cut that off and save it for some other time if I need to organize something.
Yeah.
So why are we braiding the thread? Like, is this supposed to happen like this?
It's what some of us do. I have stitched tons and tons of kits along the way. It just keeps them. When I pulled out my thread, right, to show you, and they were all kind of mangled together. And these ones do get a bit mangly, but when you're stitching, I'm going to show you how to stitch the loop method. Very easy to do. Do you have a needle there?
It's still in its package.
I'll just
so
take
the
a
kit
pin.
comes with a needle. Oh, and they're blunt edge, so I didn't just ruin it by doing it that way.
Yeah.
I open things like a squirrel.
So your threads, you can see how they're all looped over. They don't come that way by Bothy threads. They're just kind of hung over the squares or over the holes there. And mine, you can see I've gone and looped them to secure them in their place.
So I should be doing that now.
Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. And I'm taking this elastic off, right?
Yeah, that's fine for now. So then, here, you better take my coffee. We should have just set an intravenous up.
Had a hold my coffee moment.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have just hung up an IV for me, but so to try and show you this on camera, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Can you stand behind and I'll tell you where to hold that? Tim is Tammy's lovely Vanna today. So what you're going to do is you will hoop them over and then try and grab one. Let me just grab a thread here.
Or like a single thread.
So you're actually going to grab one thread. Okay, I'll take that back, Tim. Thank you. So you're going to grab one thread and then you pull it. Get rid of that needle in my hand. So you can pull it through, unless I've got this one super tight. There you go. So you just pull it through. You've got one thread. All of your bits are still together. And you're going to line up your two ends on your thread. So you're going to leave a loop at the top.
Oh, shit.
Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till you see our blooper reel.
I don't think that was supposed to be off. Apparently I missed.
That's just a blending filament. So they're a bit, just put it through the same way.
Okay.
It doesn't have to go through those ones. Just do a separate loop.
can get it, guys. I can get it.
Yeah.
Rookie mistake.
So I threaded this one thread. There's a loop here at the bottom. The one thing you should also do when you're stitching, some patterns are a bit more difficult to understand. So where you are in the process. So if this one shouldn't be too difficult to understand what's the top of your project and what's the bottom. So what you would do, and we're stitching in hand. Tammy's going to learn how to stitch in hand and not use, mind you, I did bring a Q snap for her, which would be comparable to like an embroidery hoop that we would have used lots and lots of years ago. So I roll my fabric. So I roll the back side forward so that my fingers, my dirty fingers, are always touching the back of the back of the fabric. So
I'm laughing at me because I don't know how I messed that up so bad. It seems so simple.
it's okay. It's fine.
It's
Not to
still
worry.
chopped. It'll be fine.
So we're going to call this the top of Tammy's fabric here. And so you're just going to pull through the top. Oh, this is difficult on camera. So you're just going to pull through one hole at the top. I typically stitch, I go left, so bottom left hole to top right hole. And then my last leg always goes the same way. And that would be the top left hole to the bottom right hole. Okay, so you're going to go through, I hope I'm doing this so people can see it. So you're going to go through, your loop is here.
Should I be taking a photo of that so I can put it on screen?
I'm not even sure. But your loop is here. And if this is a bit of a struggle, you're just going to, you can go, there's so many people that use the loop method. What it does is it just secures your, you don't have to try and tuck your threads in behind. So I've gone through that loop and then I've gone back through. So now you see this, Tammy? You can see that this is the loop on the back side of the fabric.
So that's how you're tying off.
That's how I tie off, and I'm not losing any thread, right? Because lots of times we would leave like a tail of about an inch. So I always have a ton
of thread left.
A ton of thread left. Like this is the remaining thread from a kit, and you probably could restitch a whole, like on maybe a smaller count of fabric, but somebody would be able to restitch that kit that I've already completed. So the reason I'm doing this with Tammy's is putting in a couple stitches up top.
Yeah, why are you doing that?
So that you always know this is the top of your fabric.
Oh.
It's the top of your project. So you're never going to, because in the past, let me tell you, I have started a project and I've been stitching away, and then I think I'm going the right direction, and then I realize, right, something's not adding up and my stitches aren't matching. It's because now I'm stitching the bottom as if it's the top, and I've had to completely scrap that and restart or frog out my stitches, which is, nobody likes to, and we call it in the cross stitch world frogging, because we're ripping out stitches. You know, you rip it.
So do you use the stitch ripper, or what do you use for that? Or do you just like undo it with your needle?
So a normal cross stitcher, which I am not, will tell you you would absolutely never use a stitch ripper because it's very easy to grab some of your linen threads or whatever thread you're working with. You know, I've been frustrated to the point where it's just like, I need to get, 2,000 stitches out. So I go at it.
Ew.
Yeah, trust me, there's some big mistakes have been made and that's why we're using, these markers, right?
So we didn't sell those in the kit. So is the marker an optional thing, or is it something that we should be talking to people to find out if they want before we ship?
Yeah, the marker is a nice to have, especially as a beginner. It keeps you on track. So we're going to follow up. We're going to start gridding out today, and we'll show you what it looks like in a follow-up video. I think you'll just meld them together somehow. To show you what that looks like when it's all done. And then Tammy's going to put in some stitches, and then I'll put in some stitches on mine as well. And then we'll come back. I live about 6 hours away from Tammy, so we're going to start the project together. And then I think we're going to finish it together too, hey?
Yeah, I think we'll do that. It might be nice. So in my thoughts, and people have to let me know if this is something they'd be interested in or not. I see all these cross stitch things you make, and then they just like exist as this cross stitch that's done, and you've worked so hard on it, and then now what is it? What do you do with it? And the quilter in me is like, I want it to have a purpose. So I think it might be cool for me, at least, to take this cross stitch and turn it into one of those project pouches you love so much.
Project bag, yeah.
Yeah. So
So we use, I have lots of different project bags. I only have 2 in front of me today, but this is a, very simple style project bag that I get from another company, right? And it just keeps, this one actually has all of my bothy kits in it. So I think there's 3 or 4 that I'm currently stitching in there. And then, some of these smaller ones that I keep all of my trinkety bit, I call them trinkety bits. So that's my, my little thumb around Band-Aid. So I have a callus on my one finger, and that's where I always push my pin through. And
a lot.
I do. And cross stitch needles are blunt end on both ends, and somehow I managed to put one through my thumb this morning. So, we didn't want blood all over the beautiful things in her quilting store. So, yeah, so in my kit, I just keep all of those things that I need to work on my projects. And that's, one of these little bags that one of my girlfriends makes.
Yeah. So maybe not that exact big. I have a different pattern in mind that's super simple. If you've never sewn before, we will teach you how to thread the machine and get going. This is similar to a project we teach in Sewing Basics Level 1 here. So I feel like it's doable.
I feel like that's likely the day I'm going to learn or unlearn how to sew. I have this preconceived notion of all the things that I can do with a sewing machine.
You'll be fine. Once you learn how to maintain a seam allowance and sew straight.
And that was Greek. Perfect. This is my realm, right? The stitchy world. So
okay, so
you're going to hold that so people can see.
Move that coffee.
Oh, again, let me have a drink.
Okay, but clearly I've done something wrong here because I don't think that's
okay. We can just, I won't braid that one in. So what you're going to do, you can take this and have a friend hold it. I know we all have a friend somewhere, and they can hold it while you braid it. You can tape it to a workstation and braid it. You can clip it. There's so many ways you can use it. So I have an aught light at home.
Wait, I want to braid it.
Oh, you want to do the braiding? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be the friend. There we go. I have an aught light.
Should I like comb this a little bit?
Yeah, you should, yeah. There we go.
Am I being too much of a perfectionist right now?
Yeah, don't be
Okay.
anal retentive.
So how loosely am I braiding this?
The way you're doing is perfect. So when you're pulling thread, as I showed you, when you pull that one thread through, it will very easily slide along the other threads. The rookie mistake is trying to pull more than one thread at a time. And when doing that, you're going to end up with huge, frustrating knots. So just if you need 2 threads for whatever reason, you're going to pull each thread individually out.
Okay, so I have a single needle that I'm working with that came with the kit.
Yep.
Do I need a needle minder?
Yes.
And
Well,
do I put the elastic
put the
here?
elastic on the bottom. Yep.
Didn't know I was keeping that.
It's right there. Right beside the end of your pole. Your dusty pole.
Oh,
There you are.
some of them like 10 inches longer.
It's okay. And it's okay if it's probably enough. Yep. So there, Tammy's just braided up her threads. We're probably going to cut. She doesn't need all the, I mean, whatever, she can keep that. Maybe she wants to put her, have you chosen your needle worker or your needle worker? Your needle minder for today's project?
Do I need a needle minder if I'm just using one needle?
I
I
mean,
mean, it's a nice to have, right? It's not a must have.
it's not a must have. I mean, I have a collection. It's a nice to have. And maybe we'll show them at least, even if you don't want to use one. I don't use one when I'm stitching in hand because it makes my project heavy.
So
Right,
you don't
you-
stick it to yourself, you stick it to the project itself.
You can. So all of my needle minders I have on my little stitchy cart. I have a metal stitchy cart that's right full of stuff.
Yeah,
But anyway,
this is I wonder if that's magnetic.
is the ladder magnetic? Yeah, the bolts are.
not.
Yeah. Tammy has a really cool library ladder in her.
I've wanted one of these things for years,
I know.
and it wasn't even my idea to put it in here.
Was it Audrey or Tim?
It was the builder.
Oh,
When we moved the bookcases to create the new classroom space,
yeah.
we needed something to go up to provide the stability so that the bookcases wouldn't be tippy, especially since we have a quilt design wall on the backside, like the full length of this, which is lovely to work with. So when you put the bookcases up there, I'm like, yeah, but who's getting up there to dust it? Come on now, reality. He's like, oh, you can have a library ladder. I'm like, sold.
Sold to the highest bidder.
We'll tell my husband how much it's gonna cost later.
He's in the building shaking his head at her.
So we do have needle minders. You can choose to get them if you want. Just a magnet would work too, right? Like if you're just trying this for the first time and you don't know.
It doesn't have to be fancy, folks. It really doesn't. Stitching is a project you can't take your quilting in the car unless you're doing like applique, I think it's called.
I would disagree with that statement. There's English paper piecing, there's sewing on binding. Some people completely hand stitch their quilts.
That's amazing. I know our grandma did and our great grandma did.
Oh, yeah. On
Or
one
great,
side.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, wait, what?
I want to say also that when we decided to do this stitch along, I said to Tammy, women like a like-minded community. We like to work with
It
people.
might not only be women doing this.
That's very fair. I do know a
Calling you on
ton.
that.
Thank you. If you go to my Instagram, I actually have men on my Instagram page stitching. Jacob did. So a feminist piece, which I'm super proud of. But we like to be with like-minded people, right? A community of people working together. And our aunt, so another generation, is going to stitch for the first time. So, and she's a quilter. Super exciting.
Yeah. So needle minders, they
Sorry.
exist.
Talk a day to a dead man.
Where do we put the needle? How am I supposed to show them how this works? Come on, man.
The needle is in the thread.
Oh. Giving her a hard time. And oh, snap. Uh-oh, I just knotted that. And we'll fix that after.
No, you didn't. That's easy.
Anyway, needle minder exists so that the needle just sticks right onto it. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the thread coming out of Old St. Nicholas. So we carry these in store. We've been getting ours from Bothy Threads because they're the cutest things ever. I mean, let it snow. Oh, scissors would be a lot more effective. Like that is not a lightweight pair of scissors. And you probably do want a small pair of snips, right? We have little rainbow ones in store, but
Again, super inexpensive.
it doesn't have to be a big thing.
No.
Explorer for my hikers and canoers and
That's neat.
adventurers out there. This actually matches one of the kits that we have in store. So if you're a lover of Rendale designs, there's this cute little mouse on a dandelion. Looks like a little tiara. And did I show
Nutcracker.
the nutcracker? There's actually a matching nutcracker kit. So you could be all matchy. Or you know what else would be cute?
Yes.
The 12 Days of Christmas.
So this is a very popular item in the cross stitch community. It's full coverage. Oh, it's got quite a bit of glare. So this is a kit that I purchased from Tammy, and I intend to stitch it start it this.
This one looks full on.
It's got lots of Krynic and blending filament, and I think there's some beading with this one as well, which is quite all right. But
So-
that's more advanced.
So I met the ladies from Bothy Threads at the H&H show in early May. Before I'd even really told anyone I was buying the store, I was talking to them. And beautiful women. They really were. And I saw that 12 Days of Christmas stitched in person. That and the turtle on the needle minder I just showed you stopped me in my tracks. I was like, wait, this is like a real thing. It's not just like this really random old lady thing my sister does.
Again, I'm the old one apparently.
And I'm a quilter. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So we need to mark out this grid.
So Tammy, I'm actually going to show people how to find the middle of their fabric. Sure. So I think it's important to show you how to do the easy way to find the middle of your fabric. So all I do, Aida is a bit of a stiffer fabric to work with. So you just fold it in half, matching like you would have set it like the top sheet, right? On your bed, on your mattress. So you just fold that in half one direction, and then you just go the next direction, and this one's already folded perfectly in the middle. So when you reopen, you will have
A crease.
you'll have a crease.
This thing is starched.
Yeah, it's right. So you can see, I've lost your needle. Right here. Clearly I wasn't using a needle minder because I've upset her needle somewhere. But that's the middle of your fabric. So we are going to be starting, your intention is to start in the middle, hey?
Yeah. Because if we start in the middle and work our way up, even if somebody life gets busy,
Yep.
especially at this time of year, there's so much going on. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh my God, I can't get this done. You know what? If you start in the middle and work your way up, even if you get behind everybody else, by the time you reach that star, there's still like
Yeah.
a real Christmas tree in
Yeah.
front of you, right?
There's
Like,
fun stuff happening, right? Yeah. So Tammy's going to set up the tripod. And then, so your grid, I can't show you the pattern. I have one of my patterns, a Bothy thread pattern that I'm working on. It's actually right in front of me. So I'm going to, that's a different, okay. Is this and I can show you like a top corner that doesn't have anything, hopefully, on it. So let's do it like this. So I can do this one actually. I'll just block out most of, so it's not easily.
I'm rushing her because we're doing Thanksgiving this weekend.
Yeah, we're doing lunch with our family this weekend. So you'll see here, folks, I'm actually stitching, I think it's Remember Me. So you can see those squares, right? The very defined squares, they're 10 by 10. And this is probably an intermediate pattern maybe. But you can see here, there's a diagonal going down, and then there's another one right, if I can see, right here going across. So this is the center of your pattern. Okay, so you're going.
So these dotted lines mean something.
They
very
do.
real.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the center of your pattern. So you're going to, when you're gridding out, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 2, 4, 6. So you're gonna, on this pattern, you would do 7 by 7, and that's a quarter of this pattern. Okay, so we're going to grid out that entire thing
So
on,
on the ScandiTree pattern,
Yeah.
looking at page 1,
yeah,
which you will have, don't worry, they're coming. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and like half of 8.
that's right. But we're still going to, and I'll show you, you'll see once we've gridded how I make it very, like this is the absolute center of the pattern and where Tammy will be starting. And I'll show you how I do that. It's hard to explain right now. But
Okay, I think with this pattern, I did actually read something, and there was something about making sure, because it's not square, it's rectangular, so there's a longer side. So we have to make sure that we have the longer side running up, down, not across. If
That's
it's running across, we might run out of space, right?
hence why I did that little square up here. There, you can just see it. So that shows it is the top of the pattern, and we are running, right, the longer part going all the way down. So now we know what our directions are.
So I'm actually glad that we're using the Mark Be Gone pen to grid it out, because before I spend time stitching, I would be so mad if I started stitching and then I realized I ran out of fabric. Like, what do you do?
It happens to all of us. You do it once. It's a really, really hard lesson to learn. It's, pretty devastating because stitching is not a quick, I mean, there's some quick patterns, but you put your love into it, right? So it's just, it hurts when that happens, especially if you really, really, really wanted to stitch that pattern. And now you have to redo the whole thing all over again. It's frustrating. So hence why we call it frogging, right? And I have the cutest little needle minder. I should give you one. It's a frog with his middle finger. Uh, right? So I'm not going to drop.
Okay, you're not doing this. I'm doing this because the people at home need to know.
Okay.
So,
are you recording up top?
No, that would probably be useful.
Perfect.
Okay, hopefully they can see this.
So
Bring it in a little bit.
I use pins or spare needles that I have in the house.
Or I'm a minimalist. I need to use pins for this?
You don't have to, and I don't always do. But you'll
see the resistance. This
but
drives Linda nuts, I'm sure.
I'm also a pinimalist, and you'll see. Oh, here's a piece of fabric that I gridded. It is a bothy. But you see all those X's that I have running down? That's because I didn't count right, and I had to redo.
Oh, so you're saying don't stitch there.
I can't stitch there. It's not part of. And then if I didn't put those X's, I would have.
Yeah, you'd get lost.
Right? So why do things 15 times when you just use a damn pin?
So am I putting a dot in the middle?
No, because you can see the middle, right? Like, that's the middle. So what we're going to do.
Yes, it is recording.
It's recording. So on the pattern, we know that we are stitching like roughly 5 in.
So why is that dot the middle and not that dot?
It doesn't really matter. They give you tons of spare fabric.
Okay.
So the way I do it is I would count over 10 in one direction. Okay. So
I'm marking where we're starting so it's more visible on camera.
Okay. So that's the center. I just go
in one direction.
10 off, yeah. But just go 10 off your center just for ease of doing the pattern, okay? So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you're actually, hang on, you're going to just do a cross. You're going to go and do it light because those pens, you can see it's, oh shoot. 6, 8, 10. So you can see, so you're going to do a light cross. There you go. And just up there too. Perfect. And then if you look at, like, you can grid the whole thing out this way. Or we know that up here is smaller. So you don't technically need to grid this.
Well, I can look at the pattern and see what I need actually marked, right?
Yep.
Because I'm only going... Okay, I need to look at page 2 for this, and I didn't have it unfolded, so here we go. Okay, so I'm only going over...
Don't worry about
I'm
it's.
confused
I
because
know
the center's not the center.
I know that
Sorry.
we're doing it this way for ease of use.
Okay, so on the page 2 side, there's 4 squares that I need.
Yes.
So I'm only going over that far.
So you're gonna go over. So now we've got
2,
2, 4, 6, 8,
10.
Okay.
Okay, move your pen.
Okay. And then again, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then there's.
Okay, so that gives me 3 squares.
That's right. We're gonna go over. Is that your center? Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10.
Is that my center? Yeah, it was. Okay. So I should be a little better at marking it. Okay.
Okay, so we know we have to go 4 here, but we also know that as we go down the pattern's gonna get wider. Where's the picture?
Oh, it's here.
Okay. I'm gonna take it out because it's super glary. Glary, what a word. So this is our pattern. So the center is where roughly where the rocking horse, just above it. So we can see there that it's clearly smaller as the branches go up and larger or wider as the branches go down. So we're not going to grid all of this. It just doesn't make sense. It's a waste of marker, a waste of your time, and honestly, just why do extra when you don't have to? Okay.
So if I'm flipping here into, and I start looking at page 4. Okay.
It's almost noon.
Then I need to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So you need to come down 11. So then we're going to counter 11 down. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
I need that pin moved though.
10. Okay, and put your X.
I will, but I need pin not there to do it.
I guess when you're working alone at this, like I have pins going all over the place. Right, so now that you're here, let's just see that marker. Whoops. So now that you're here, you can see that Tammy's just going to draw a line all the way. So she can use this one, right? So you don't have to count them all out. I'm going to let Tammy mark her own. I'm just showing you a few here. Whoops. Right, so that's how you're creating your 10 by 10 square.
Okay.
So there's this, you're going to work in this square first.
No, above the line.
Or whichever, or up here. But we're going to get it all gridded out and come back when it's all gridded out and then start the project.
I don't think you need to watch me do this.
I don't want to watch you do this.
Because I think the smaller size will be easier for me to work with.
Maybe, hey?
It is now.
Okay, perfect. So as you can see, folks, we promised that we would grid this out and then come back to you. You'll notice down here and up here, this might look a little bit wet still, and that's because it is. We just grabbed a paper towel, dampened it a bit, and then just took out the extra marks that we had made. And then once it's fully dry, Tammy will follow up and just mark in those little bits if she wants to. So this is essentially the pattern. This is where we're beginning. Tammy's marked it out quite well here, so she'll know where she's starting. So we're essentially doing, I think these blocks are first week, and then we'll work our way up and do a couple of columns at a time and then follow up down. The reason we've gone this route, Tammy and I discussed it, if there's beginners out there, it's easier to start here and start with a smaller section. As you get confident, you can see how many more blocks there are to do. And each block represents a 100 stitches. Now you're not stitching the full blocks. It's not a full coverage design, so that's good.
And here where it ran a little bit when we blotted it, because we had it quite wet, it kind of dispersed a little bit more than we wanted to. You know what? We're learning. Or at least I am. And Barb so carefully marked the top for me. Well, it's now my bottom. But the way this is drawn, it's very clear what's the top and what's the bottom. So I feel like I'm not going to get lost with that, although I am wondering what the heck I did here.
Yeah, and that's okay, right?
So I might have to look at that pattern again.
No, you're okay. I think, you know,
maybe I've got enough marked that it'll be fine.
It is, right? I've done the exact same thing over time, and you can see it's very defined here. And then once you get here, you'll kind of giggle at yourself. And honestly, when your project's done and you put it in a little bit of Dawn dish soap and warm water and it all disappears, you won't even know it was ever done that way. Oh, you used
Dawn dish soap with it?
Tiny bit, yep.
Oh, I just use water on the cat.
Yeah, you can do that too. I just toss in Dawn dish soap in case I got, you know, oily fingers, or, you know, I was snacking while I was stitching, which is sometimes typical for those chocolate eaters that I'm not, but anyway.
Okay, so for me to stitch in hand, this has to be rolled up, right?
It does. So
do not lose this. Where'd all those needle minders
Yeah, where's your needle minder, Tammy?
Yeah, maybe I will get one. Just, woo! Don't drop that. I don't know. What one do I want?
I like that one.
The Rendale?
But that's me. I like that Explorer one too, or Let It Snow, whatever.
I'm going to go Let It Snow.
Perfect. There. Okay, your needle is in place. We'll attach that at some point.
Okay.
So with myself, I'm actually going to grab mine and show you, because it's just easier than pulling out the tripod and whatnot. So we did finally decide, folks. Here's my mess of colors and how I'm going to work, and we'll see how it works out.
Okay, so we're going to spread yours. And then let's lay this here to kind of show. Oh, did you notice that before?
No, I didn't. Interesting. I did just say, didn't I? Okay, I'm going to grab a different piece of fabric and rinse this one out, actually. Okay, back with another piece of fabric, which we will serge all the way along.
Isn't it handy having a sister with access to a serger?
Yeah, because, I mean...
You're going to do it, you know.
Someday.
Today.
Oh. Oh, she said I'd be is serging or sewing?
Not really. Kind of. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, we're going to say it is, and we're going to call me a sewer at the end of this. So this is how my starting point...
It's going to be here, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So like I said, I always roll in. So my back side is what I'm touching. That's about center. So I'm going to start, I don't have a needle or anything. So I'm actually going to start right about here. Is how I do it. And then as I'm working, I just roll up, or I roll down. I roll down over my stitches. And this is how I work. right? So I do the sewing method.
That'll mean something to us eventually.
Yeah, I think for the beginners, it's really important that you hunt and peck. And I know that sounds, let me get a needle.
Do you just want to use mine?
Your needle is really big for my.
Oh, right. You need a different needle size.
I have one left.
Didn't you just buy more yesterday?
I did, but this is one of my absolute favorites. These ones are made in France.
They're Bowen needles. Apparently we might be...
Okay, so do we know, can you make sure the pattern isn't shown? My pattern isn't with me at the moment. So let's find the center. Okay, so those, we decided this one. This is a brand new floss that I've never used. Okay. I actually got this in I did a Gilmore Girls Stitchy retreat. And oh my goodness, it was so much fun. And if you don't watch Gilmore Girls, then it'd be rude if I said you were broken, but are you broken? Watch Gilmore Girls. So remember what I showed you about you grab one thread.
Can I zoom in?
Sure. Here, do you want me to? Okay, so you grab one. Let me see if I can come up. So you've got one.
Come back a little. Share on the screen. There you go.
You've got one thread. You're just going to grab that thread and pull up. And it will make your thread a little bit curly.
Do we need to pause?
I bet. So you've got one.
Come back a little. Share on the screen. There you go.
You've got one thread. You're just going to grab that thread and pull up. And it will make your thread a little bit curly.
Do we need to?
So I pulled my thread and then I've now since threaded my needle. Tammy's going to do the same with hers. So the easiest, so if you actually turn your
Part over?
yeah, and grab it from here.
Oh, from this loop.
Yeah, it's much easier that way.
So I'm gonna get like a single strand with my nail. Oh, I can't see that close up.
You need to be my age so you can have bifocals.
Yeah, no thanks. The optometrist told me I needed reading glasses, and I was like, really? Is that a single strand? There's like...
It is. Nope, that's single.
Okay, so it's like still woven.
Yep, that's okay. So hold on to all your threads.
Here?
Yep, just like that's good. And pull it out. It's gonna you're gonna feel tension.
I do.
And there you go.
Huh.
Okay. So you're going to thread yours a bit different than mine.
Okay.
So because I'm doing one thread, you're actually doing two.
Yeah.
So you need to make your two ends line up.
Okay.
Should not be this hard. It's not. You'll get there.
And yes, I did change clothes. I spilled lunch all down the front of me.
I did not, but my hair's now in a pony, so that's how my hair progressed. It went factory reset and now it's full on big. So
now I just thread the needle?
You're gonna thread the needle, yeah.
I probably do that very differently than you.
That's okay. So there you go. So now you're going to grab, there you go, both ends, and you need a longer tail, but you need, no, you need your tail to be.
This is my tail. The loop is the tail.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's good. So now you're going to.
I might need these back.
Oh, probably.
So looking at the pattern, I'm going to start in the bottom corner of this tree, right?
You are.
So I'm over one from here. Does that mean I go in? Wait, am I going in from the top or the bottom?
You're actually gonna, I'm showing you the loop start. So
Okay.
you're going to go in from the top.
I'm just gonna roll this up a bit so I can hold it. Okay, so I'm coming in from the top.
Yep. So
Over
your
one.
legs, I always, and you don't have to, just keep your legs going the same way. And when I say legs, I mean your first half of your cross stitch is going to go bottom left corner to top right corner. Okay, and Tammy's going to do it the opposite way. It's okay. No, it's okay.
Well, I could start at the other end. I could just count out. I'll just pull that through. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over from here. So I'm going like this.
Mm-hmm. So you're not going to pull yet. You're going to put your needle through that loop at the end.
Okay.
And then you're going to pull it somewhat tight, but not too tight.
So tell me when to stop.
Until your this loop touches this hole.
Okay.
Okay. So now you're going to take your needle and you're going to go under this loop and back through that hole.
Back through the hole I came up?
Yeah.
That's just going to undo the stitch.
Nope, it's not, because your loop is staying here. Your needle's going here.
Oh, so I'm staying away from the loop.
That's right. You don't want to go back through the loop. You want to make sure your thread is... So it's going to pull. See, so now you're fully attached and you're not wasting. You don't have a tail underneath that you have to address.
And then I just want... Here, let me get around. And I just come up through here, because what I'm doing is half of the stitch all the way over.
That's exactly it. So I'm going to put my first stitch in with you.
Okay. Hey everyone. So future Tammy realized that there was an issue with the video in that I got my head in the way, so you couldn't actually see what was happening. So just going to grab a thread here and go through this loop method of starting. Hopefully you can see. So I'm just going to thread my needle. Get my loop to be the longer end, or my tail, as I think my sister was calling it. And right now I am stitching a star here. So I'm gonna have a candle in here, candle in here, and the star is up in here. Okay, so counting off of this spot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is where I'm going in. I'm going to pull through and come back up in the diagonal top hole. When I come up, I'm going to put my needle through this loop that I had left on top. And when I pull this tight, it pulls that in. So now I'm just pulling it kind of out of the way so I can find my hole again without going through my thread. I can pull that through just like that. And now that loop is like perfectly secured and not really showing in any way. It's kind of a nice way to start, actually.
I'm going to show them what I think it's called a pin stitch. So I would start, so I only have the one thread. So I'm going to leave a bit of a long tail there. And I'm going to go up through there. And I'm going to go right back down. So I'm only going over, actually, it looks like I'm doing one thread over one thread. Can you see this?
Possibly
I think
not.
so.
It's super tiny. You just click there, so that's focusing.
So you can see here, I have this one little wee stitch. So this is how I start. So now there's my 1/2. You come over here, and my thread is tight. Like there's no yanking this out.
Okay, so now I'm here. I need to zoom out because I can't find my fabric. Maybe it's just me not seeing. Okay. So now I'm coming back up through the bottom hole.
Yeah.
To finish my X's.
So you're actually, that would be called railroading, is what you're doing now.
It has a different meaning in my world.
Yeah, everything has a different meaning, hey? So, and then you're going to finish your legs there.
Finish my legs? Like finish the row?
Yeah, the top legs of your stitching.
I guess I have to pull tight as I go away. How tight
Do
do
you
I
see?
pull this?
You'll know your tension. You don't have to do it super tight.
Oh,
I want you to get comfortable, and then then you can worry about that. No, I did. Yeah, you can do that. So going from top down.
That feels super awkward.
It does, because Aida's hard. Until your Aida's not so stiff.
And I can't see where I'm going. Okay, so
Perfect.
I feel like I can do a lot of this.
Yep.
What do I do when I get near the end of a thread?
So near the end of a thread. So I'm actually going to finish off my thread underneath, so that, because I'll restart my thread.
Okay.
So here's what, so I'll show you my top and then I'll show you. So this is my bottom right now. Okay, so those are my five stitches. So if I were finishing, you're just going to bring your thread wherever you can. Just go underneath the threads that you've worked. Am I still showing this? Yes, I am. There we go. And then I would just nip that off, and we don't have any fancy scissors here today. We did, but then I cleaned up, so wow. So there you go. That's a finished, and that's my first row done.
So we don't have to do that at every row. It's just...
No, I was just wanting to show you how to finish off tying your loose ends in the back. That looks really good, Tam.
Thank you.
So the other thing is, if you're like, because we're stitching a row at a time, right? So if you find that you have spare thread left over and you want to just keep going up your trunk, then do that, just so that you're not wasting thread. I'm a proprietor of not wasting. Like, I save everything.
Can I leave the thread dangling in behind to switch to do something else?
No, if you're going to leave a dangly thread, leave it up front, because if you leave it behind, all your other stitching is going to get wrapped up in that thread. Your back is going to become a mess, like an absolute disaster.
So I should just pull my needle off of the
Pull your
thread?
needle off, yeah. So then what I would do, if you're going to go a different color at this point,
Well, I feel like we should do one of these pieces that has 2 different colors in it to kind of show how you deal with that.
sure. So what I would do you want to unzoom that, Tammy, so I can? So she's going to leave a thread dangling here.
Oh, so I'm going to roll that into it.
So that keeps it out of the way.
And stops me from tangling it.
That's right. Okay. So now grab your next color.
So it's circle. What is circle? Circle is red. Or should I do the white?
Up to, does it
start with red because white gets mixed with this guy?
Does the white get mixed with that one?
Instructions say,
where you see the W symbol, use clear sparkle with white strand. So you're always, whenever you've got that W, so
it
you
says
use
2 strands of white and 1 length of clear sparkle.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So do the white now or do the red and then fill in the white?
Let's do, you know what? Let's do, is the white your next one or is your red?
So there's just this little bit of white stripes in this candy.
Okay, so what I would suggest, where are you on your pattern?
I've done this.
So what I would do is I would continue stitching up here, and once you get to here,
Yeah.
then it's easy to count 1 over from that and not lose your space.
But in interest of speeding this
fair.
up for recording.
Yeah. So grab one of your red ones.
Okay. So hear what she says and do that. Don't make it harder on yourself. Let's just get... Oh, that's more than 1 strand. So I just kind of hold.
Mm-hmm. Feels awkward, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So, and I'm gonna lose this if I just set it down. Okay. I have no idea if this is we do sell needle threaders, by the way, if you need some, but I like to just hold it and squish it through. And it seems to work with these needles. So the loop is my tail, and that has to be longer.
Okay, so now
I'm gonna come across the bottom from the line. I need to skip over 1, 2, 3, 4.
so find your, so this line,
Yep.
so you're going to come up that line, and the way I would do it is you're going to count down the 1, 2, 3, right? Because we want to start here
Down 3 and over 3. So I want to start
in the same block.
in the most right-hand section of this guy. Okay, so in the same block, I go from here down. It's crossing over this. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Of course, the brown thread's exactly where I need to be.
That's typical. I'm going to help you here.
So I'm going backwards now. So I want to start here.
No, you're going to start at the top. You're going to do that loop start again.
From the top right hand side going down. So it's like backwards.
So pull your thread all the way up again.
Like totally out.
Completely out.
Okay.
So you're going to start up top.
So you want me to start here?
Mm-hmm. You're
Even
going to
though
make your
it's
leg.
this X?
Let me see, sorry. So your thread,
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you're stitching on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually going to put it here.
Okay. And then I'm coming up through the top to cross.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm making sure, oh yeah. I'm pulling and I'm making sure I'm not coming back through the loop.
Mm-hmm.
So am I finishing this X? Or
Yeah.
am I going
Yeah, I
across
would.
the whole row?
I would finish it so that you don't have to come back, and you'll know when to.
There will be times where I might curse myself not realizing, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that's my first red.
Mm-hmm.
You have these little C-clamp thingies.
I don't, these are thread bobbin holders actually.
Do we have those?
So I'm going to keep stitching while she's meandering. So this is the sewing method. So where you're stitching on top.
I don't know if these are too tight.
Oh, it might be.
Even if it just kind of clips it a little bit. Oh, you're just going to roll tighter?
Mm-hmm. That's why I keep mine super tight. Perfect.
Okay. So these are thread grippies. It's $3.05 for a pack of 3.
Are you opening one?
Yeah, I'm taking one.
She's the owner of the store. She has,
Well, I'll pay for it,
of
but
course.
I'll just scan it later. Grippy, open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these actually wrap around thread, a bobbin of thread for like a sewer like yourself.
Yeah,
That's what that's for.
that's what these are for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for a bobbin. This is for a spool. Sorry, my terminology.
Oh,
These are spool.
okay. So you almost only need 2.
There you go. It just makes it easier to...
A big binder clip or something would probably work too.
The only problem I have with those is they're super tight, and if they get wet in any way, they
they'll
may rust.
These
So
are
I've-
not going to rust. They're just
No.
silicone or something.
No, so...
Okay, so it's a good thing Alicia's in tomorrow. Okay, so you've done...
I was doing the sewing method, so I was just showing them that.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh. You know, when I watch Flosstube and they talk about the mess that they have, I always think, yeah, probably piles. No, it is a hot mess up in here. Like, I've got crapola from all over the darn place.
So am I working my way up or...
So you are going to, so I would go back and do...
like start... Because my brain says come up here and do these.
Yeah, you can do that. You're...
Did I just mess up?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was being efficient, but I'll just unstitch. Unstitch, redo. So do I just stitch around where the white goes, or how does this work?
Yeah, you can stitch around, so completely avoiding.
I think it's going. I think I might need to find that highlighter soon,
Oh,
but they're at home.
I got a highlighter here.
Yeah.
Sure do. I got a pink one.
Hot.
Hot.
Okay. So my plan is to keep this in the car when I'm sitting and waiting for Audrey.
That's a perfect time to stitch.
Is there anything I have to, like, do I have to be worried about protecting it from the sun or?
Well, I would make sure that you throw it in a bag of some sort just to protect it from, because I've taken projects in the car with me and they drop them on the floor. Lots of times if I'm the passenger and I'm stitching, yes, I can stitch in a moving vehicle, which some people think is bizarre, but I'll just, when I get out of the vehicle to run into a store or something, I actually throw my stitching up on the dash, and I'm sure There's stitchers out there that are probably gasping right now hearing that, but I don't know. I just, stitching for me is about the love of putting needle and thread together and making something, just making something. So, I may not be, I would put it in a bag. I put all my stuff in a project bag. That way it's all together. Take a little pair of scissors, like your little snips with you. Put those on your needle minder. Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do is just keep your needle on your needle minder and keep your stitching, close at hand. So, I mean, a needle, everybody will tell you a needle is a needle is a needle, right? And will any needle work? It absolutely will. If it is a sharp-ended needle, you will curse. If you're a cursor like Tammy here, wait till you see the blooper reel. But you will curse that sharp-ended needle because one, you're going to hit your finger all the time. Two, it's going to catch in the back, right? So I use my blunt-ended needle, and I actually feel my way. I touch, like it kind of bounces over the threads at the back. So as I'm, does that make sense? Like, is it, like I can feel my blunt end needle kind of bouncing over the two threads at the back of my fabric when I'm coming up through. Excuse me. So yeah, you want a blunt, but I mean, any needle will do if you're in a crunch. So, and blunt-ended needles are really widely accessible.
I'm pretty sure we have blunt-ended needle. Yeah.
They're called pardon? I love ballpoint needles. They're incredibly they're not cost effective, but when I'm stitching on a higher count, can I see those, Tammy?
I think the eye's too tiny for what we're doing with the kit.
Oh yeah, and those are sharp.
It specifically says that they're ballpoint.
But if you look, Tammy, if you look at this in comparison to my, I sent my
These are the
ballpoint.
sharps. There is a difference. Note the look of disgust on her face.
So touch that in comparison to the one you're using. So what we use in needlework, like cross stitch, embroidery, you need a sharp, sharp needle. But in cross stitch, you need a tapestry is what it's called.
Okay, so we will do some needle ordering.
But these are great for embroidery.
The little sharps.
Which I don't really know. Well, I know how to do it. It's just not my chosen medium. I've been stitching for so many years that.
So I have a bunch of John James sharps, but not tapestry.
Yeah. So I mean the stitchers out there, the cross stitchers out there will understand John James. Actually just learned this the other day. John James used to be one of our favorite needles. And I noticed I bought a petite, which are small, because they call it chicken hunting, or, I play chicken with my thread all the time.
Is
Because
that what I'm doing right now?
not quite, but you're getting close. So that's where you have a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of thread left. And you really want to get that last stitch or sometimes 10 in. So you play chicken with that thread. So then you buy a shorter needle, which is called a petite. Anyway, long story short, I don't know that I know how to do that. But anyway, John James is no longer made, and I think they were made in America previously. But anyway, they're made overseas. They're made internationally, and they're not the quality that we're used to. So my preference of needle is a bohin, or I think that bohin maybe is how it's pronounced, Bohin.
No, it would be French, so I think it would be Boin. I'm not the French speaker in my household. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but
I struggle with English most days. Words are hard. So,
fair.
right?
Am I gonna be able to do all this?
What do you mean? You can do it. Look at you go.
Yeah, but the thread's getting really short.
And if it is, right, if you get too far where it's like, I just can't get any further, then just bind it off at the back, right? Feed it through.
Okay, so we have run out of light and steam. It's been a long day. We did our family Thanksgiving celebration today. So we had to stop and do
Mhm.
that. And then, things come up. So this is what I have done. Yay. It almost looks like a candy. Wait. No. Which way's the top? That way's the top. Because I'm working my way up the tree. Yes, I got it. Okay. So you can see the candy here. We're not going to do any of the white stitching this week. We've decided it's a little more complicated. Let's get a good solid foundation under our belts, right? That's what you told me. So yeah, we're going to stitch everything out according to the pattern. So we're doing the 2 bottom groups of 10.
So we are doing, excuse me, we are actually doing this row right here. So do this branch and the little treats above or just below that next branch there. Okay, so and if you go ahead, it's okay. Nobody's going to. There's no cross stitch police here. I'll show you where I got on mine. I was stopping a little bit to help Tammy get sorted, but all I have is the trunk of my tree, and I don't know, I have 10 or 12 rows. And you can see how tiny my little wee stitches are there. So, oh, what else do we have? I don't know. I think we're excited to get our row done and then move forward next week and keep seeing where we're going. I'm excited to see how mine turns out because right now it's just a little bit willy-nilly, but we'll get there.
So we're going to post this on Instagram and on Facebook. They're going to go through as if they're live. While it's live on the system, I'm going to be there monitoring comments, but this is pre-recorded, so I can try to answer you. I'll probably be texting you to help me answer. While that's happening, it will also be up on YouTube, but we would love to see your progress as you go.
We do have a hashtag, so put it in the hashtag. Like put the hashtag on your Instagram post. You can find Tammy. What's your Instagram at Sewing Cafe?
The Sewing Cafe?
Oh, the Sewing Cafe. And mine is at Stitcher_Barbie, BARBEE. I guess there's lots of Barbies out there that stitch. So, yeah, just tag us and let us see, and we'll comment on your progress and see how you're getting along, and it'll just be fun.
And remember, this is not supposed to be stressful. If you are stressing, don't. Just don't.
If you're ripping stuff out and you're stressed, we get it, right?
I think we've all been there. But
yeah,
it'll be kind of fun for all of us to be stitching the same thing at the same time. And we'll try to get a class put together so that you can take your finished project and turn it into a completed item. I'm thinking a little zipper pouch so that you have something to hold on to so that you can use that for future projects if you decide you embrace this. And if not, zipper pouches are just handy, man.
Yeah, and mine might be a project bag, or it might go under my bed in my under the bed box. I hope not. Or I'm hoping that I'll frame it and it'll get hung up with my Danish plates that I have in my home. So we'll see.
You have Danish plates too.
I sure do.
We're geeking together.
We're geeking together. I got a Danish plate when I was in Denmark 6 years ago. Oh my gosh, 6 years ago. I'm going next year, I guess.
Are you?
Well, it's been 6 years. Why wouldn't I?
I waited 20, so
Well, I don't know. Here, we put it on Flosstube, so I guess the commitment's out. Maybe Tammy and I are going together. Who knows? We'll
that would
see.
be cool.
Mm.
Okay, so thank you for staying with us. I know this was a longer video. I think this one was longer because there was a lot of stuff to cover with beginning,
Mhm.
although we do talk a lot. You
I
know what?
hope to God she edits out. There's some bloopers I think are hysterical, but
There's some she doesn't want in there.
no. I have a bit of a potty mouth.
She's turning red.
Well,
I didn't know
things.
that could happen.
Well, I did say some things.
Okay, so once you get started in doing this, pop on the video. You'll hear us chatting back and forth. As we do this, it'll be on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We think we figured that out. Technology is our friends. We're embracing it. Barb will be back home, which is 5-6 hours away from here. So we'll
Mhm.
be connecting into one system, and that'll be interesting. And then I think your plan is to come down for the end.
Yeah, and we'll finish together hopefully, and
Yeah.
then
If weather's in our favor, because
yeah,
you're not doing that drive in a snowstorm.
we live in the snow belt, or at least I do. So,
I thought that was Collingwood.
well, it is Collingwood that's a snow belt, but have you ever been up north in the winter?
Well, clearly, yes.
I live in northern Ontario, so off the shores of some of the Great Lakes, and we get lake effect snow and moose. They're as big as the winter storms. Should I tell them how delicious they are?
Probably.
Redneck. Okay, anyway, I digress.
Thank you all for staying with us. We might put a little blooper reel in at the end of these
Oh, yeah.
videos because I'm sure with the two of us, it's definitely going to happen. Thank you for stitching along with us, and hopefully you're having fun.
Bye, guys. Thanks so
Bye.
much.
Let that out.
If you put that on video, I'll kill you.
What do you want? Actually call them beautiful people.
Oh.